Hey everyone, we'll be getting ready right away. Blah, blah, blah. We'll be ready very soon, just getting the last screen set up. Hope you will be looking forward to joining us for an awesome live stream coming right at you soon. And hello everybody, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts. And we're going to be having a very interesting session today. Lord only knows what happens, but we're ready for it. So thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts for our live day trading. We are trading with you live without a net on the Binance Exchange. And if your name is Annette, you can join us too, please do. So make sure that you subscribe, ring the bell, thumbs up, comment, and join our community. In fact, let me set you up with that link so that you can join our community. Comunidad. So here we go. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4. Just waiting for that page to load. I'm going to put this in the live chat for YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, find a way to get in touch with us. We are here. Oh, I got to sign into this thing. How did you get signed out? You can always reach us at gordon@archangelalts.com. And if you go to the website, you can find official thingies to sign up for and join us and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's see. Got to sign in this thing, so give me 1 second. I'm sure in a multiverse that was exactly 1 second. Somewhere that was exactly a second. In fact, somewhere else it hasn't even become a second yet. These things are not true. Don't take my word for it. Okay. One more down, one more to go. Come on now, come on now, come on now. Are we there yet? It looks like we may very well be. It is me, and I am able to type in here. And boom, there it is. So now if you're watching and you're on YouTube, you know exactly what just happened. So now you can get to the website, sign up for the EGC webinar, and you'll be able to watch the next time that happens. Come join our community. It's free. You get lots of cool stuff, and we share lots of cool things. Cannot get better than that. And let's see. All right. I need to mute myself. Okay. Fantastic. So here we are. This is Gordon Freeman, the free man. Help leading you from the darkness into the light through the crypto revolution. And here we are. Do not be misled by the green. There is more of it now because everything has been so pitifully low that everything is up from bottom. So that's great news if you're just getting started. It's rough news for anybody that has been at this for more than half a second. And we certainly have. So no shame in telling it like it is. We show you the good stuff, the bad stuff. We've had unbelievable long trends of doing lots of transactions and keeping at 100%. These most recent downs have been the most utterly devastating of them all. And you can see that truly we're coming back down to where we began the journey with IOTX. And IOTX a good bit, actually. How much do you owe TX? So we need it around here. Around here, actually. Yeah. See right there where the middle of the Bollinger and the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, come together right here. Well, that's for a reason, because that 287 made sense, and all we needed was this little bit of a pop right there. But it needed to happen right over here. So as it came down here, of course, we're clearing positions throughout here, no problem as far as that goes. But once it fell off the cliff, it fell hard. And this is, I would say it's a little unexpected, but really that's not the correction part of things that bothers me. What really concerns me is that nobody seems to have a clue that this is happening. People that should be telling you, oh my gosh, look at what happened to the alts. Well, we're several days into it. We're more than several days into it. And it's not one of those things where they say, well, when Bitcoin starts to slow down a little bit, then the spikes are going to happen first in the big ones, then in the small ones. And no. This is a much bigger deal than that. Now, I do think it's funny that they were saying, Bitcoin falls 400 after, Bitfinex gets sued over the Tether thing. Okay, it's big news. It's a really big deal. But I think the biggest part of it is actually the overstepping by NYC. I think that Wall Street's got a jealous streak in it, and they don't want to see something other than, the history of crashing stock prices and recoveries to get outdone by something comparatively small right now. But is there any question that if you can take this into a 100 billion market, that you can take it to a 1 trillion market? I have absolutely no question that that's where the stuff is headed. If some people in the sector get a better understanding of the global economics behind this, we are not going to topple the tyranny of fiat. None of this works without fiat. How do you expect somebody to buy their first Bitcoin if the dollar completely crashes within itself? Trust me, there aren't going to be people being able to afford Wi-Fi free. So somebody was showing a video of an old homeless person kind of slouched over with trash around him and underneath the overpass, and he's sitting there using a laptop. And I was kind of jokingly, a few years into the future, that's John McAfee. But I have nothing against him, and I'm just looking for a little bit of humor. But it is just, some of the wild, kind of slinging into the wind, making guesses at what's going to happen. But this is the guy that's going to tell us who the real Satoshi is, right up until he doesn't. What do you want to bet that he doesn't? But maybe he does. Who knows? But I mean, isn't virus protection about privacy? Isn't cryptocurrency about privacy? Laugh again. I love irony. It's so much fun. So here we are. Dent, of all things, is taking the top position. DGD has been actually strong for about a day and a half. It's not one that I commonly am comfortable with the patterns on, so I have not been trading on that. BTG has been showing some strength. HODL usually fluctuates between basically 23 and 28. So I wish that there wasn't this much value piled up in it, because it's not going to go there. I don't know why people think it will, but it's not. NPX, a little bit of kind of the same thing, maybe 17 if it does extremely strong. I just wouldn't count on it. In excess of how much? Yep. So find your peaceful center on this one. And Thetacoin, maybe one of the legitimate coins that has been trying to hold in there, but I've been trying to, iterate just how low the lows are that we're seeing here. So I guess I have to zoom out enough for you to see it, to really see it. It's kind of tough to show. It's a little bit too spiky for the comparison. Oh, X. Okay, IOTA being a little bit more significant, and you can see 27,000 versus 4,500. Yeah, these are more of the kind of stuff that we're seeing. You can see how low that is. Oy. Oh, IOST, you are our friend. Why you do this? So you can see in the grand scheme, we're talking, going back to what, 7? Yeah, So coming around on a year, the spike was really healthy. We were right in it around this range. Of course, we made a lot before getting stuck in these positions. And love these like super drops. Actually, Bitcoin did that on one of the exchanges. Steam is now at half of where it was climbing to. Really sad for the Steam community. They don't understand the correlation between, you know, real grassroots level, ground level support, and just really horrible price value performance. Kind of curious. Yeah, it's pretty twitchy, but you know, once I'm done showing you kind of the lifetime lows that these things represent, keep in mind that when we hit this, gosh, I really do have to zoom out. I'm looking for better options for OHLCs, the open, high, low, close. If anybody has really good suggestions for that, that would be kind of cool. But you can see that, you know, these are great projects, and I mean to be at 660 when it's been at 50,000. Wow, it's just wow, you know. GXS, you can see just everything's falling to a pretty low level. Zoom out even more, if I might. You noticing the trend here? This is starting to move where we're pushing. I'm going to go back over the positions that we've been doing. And surprise, my name's Anomaly. Have you met me? Okay. Very, very, very disappointing for Ion. But all of these, you know, the good news is that all of these are great for re-entry into new positions. So you can see the similar thing going on here, right? You get it. These are all, I mean, these are real projects that are really suffering. And Lind, E and J, waiting for it to get back somewhere around here. Got distracted for a very short phone call and probably should have taken it 274, but we'll hope that it makes it up there one more time. Very low on that, very low on that. Of course, that's another one. I'm going to go over these positions with you guys. There's Ethereum. You can see that it's hit at just about exactly the same place. And let's see. Okay. So there's fun. There's Go. Go now has to do double. That's rough. It's got to do, what, 100% up. So basically it needs 10 really good days and no bad days. So probably, I mean, if you're seeing the same things I do, you have basically two patterns. Spikes that look short and like a big deal in comparison, but we zoom in and it's on the really low side of those spikes, and just plain low, just plain horribly low, horribly, terribly, mercilessly low. So this is very intentional. Actually, we already, yeah, I was going to say we already sold one of those. So just doing these things to take advantage of the bottom. Well, I'm going to go over that. I'm going to finish what I started here. In cash, I am actually, I don't get shocked by many things, but when it went below 40, I was pretty surprised. The fact that it still has some room to go down. You can see this character here, I've noticed him popping up in several different places with the 13s, the 26s, the 50s. Didn't go in on SC here, went in on it on the browser. Just catching the right lows to take advantage of, accepting that could be a day, it could be a week. Better not be more than 2 weeks, but that's fine if it is actually. CELR, another disappointment, but one that I think has a better chance of coming into range sooner than some of the others. You know, this 2 drop right here, really rough. This one right here, I'm hoping that it can kind of be the start of the recovery. We were right where we needed to be to start clearing. It made it to 269, and it popped down after that. You hear me talking about you. But the fact that the volume is as high as it is right now, honestly, 800 BTC in 24-hour volume is not significantly different than like 4,000 BTC in a normal market. It is just that bad. So Matic got listed in it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Couldn't pick a worse time to list a coin. So it, immediately on the exchange jumped from where it started to 50% loss. It was pretty sad. So I don't know what Matic is actually worth. Something that you don't want to hear from somebody doing this stuff, but it's brand new. It hasn't even had a day. It seems like it's settling in on the high side of 100. So if it is a valuable project, it'll find its own once it is, it's not going to be able to compete for the news about things that are distracting from just how low the alts are. All of these are the other 50% of the market, and Bitcoin doesn't survive if these guys don't survive. That's really the bottom line. They need Bitcoin because everything's being traded against it, and that's really where the majority of the billions of dollars of transactions are going to come from. I think somewhere around 17% of the market comes from fiat, mostly in dollars, and I think 50-something% of the trading directly on Bitcoin is done in Tether. So New York, back off, buddy. And all of the rest of it is trading against alts like Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, BNB now being one of the big dogs. So yeah, just kind of place these. I'm curious what kind of liquidity and volatility is going on. It's not good that it's seeing this many uncertainties and sitting on the fences as is. We don't want to see Morse code with a brand new coin, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it's, 4,800 BTC 24-hour volume. That's going to mean that the volume's going to dry up pretty quickly. So now we're going to go into the volume part of analysis. And this should be a shocker for anybody. Okay, CIS is down to 15 BTC 24-hour volume. This is Binance, folks. There's never anything under 20 BTC. This is the lowest I've ever seen any of this. Okay, this is record-breaking stuff. Now, out of all the ones that we have REN, we have on the browser, the fact that it would be at 20 BTC 24-hour volume is shocking. And so it's got a long hike to go. And this is just the trend that's happening. So what? So this is the lifetime. And it looks like it's been able to hit 800 a couple of times. So right now it is about as low as it has ever been. It was at 412, it's at 434. So this is if you're looking at long-term stuff, this is a retracement of just plain bad. Data has, as far as I know, it's never been this low. Has it? Nope. Yeah, okay. Yeah. This is historical stuff. So, why there's nothing out there about it is bafflingly, bewilderingly to me. We have some DNT in the browser. We have some TNT in the browser. Yeah, you can see this heavy dip down here is just not good. Not good. Let me see what just spiked to it here. ONT just spiked, so that's pretty cool. That was up more than 1%, so that's actually significant. That's good. REQ now has to do more than double. Really, really shocking stuff. But, you can see double is still towards the bottom of its value range. So it seems ginormous right now, but it's really not that much for it to have to do. Its problems started with the Bitcoin crash cash hard fork. Poe, really should be in the 120, 130 range at its very worst. It's, once again, I mean, it's pretty shocking to see it this low, and it's like 44 BTC 24-hour volume. Key, anything under 50 is just disgracefully low. Disgracefully. Okay. Oy vey. So, what I saw as a strategy with things getting to their all-time lows and similar for things, I went to guys that typically they're at a very low value, and typically they're able to move a percent or two at a time. So what I'm looking at, like, just pretend for a second I went in at 97. Even though all I need is 98, I'm not going to confirm until 99, meaning that I could get a percent, more than a percent with fees included, just gone from 97 to 98. But it could fluctuate back and forth between these like all day long because it's only clearing 50 BTC in a day. So I'm not really expecting anything until I know that it's been able to hop from 97 to 99. So such is the case that let me go to a little bit broader. Well, that might be too much because it's so darn low. So yeah, you can see, my goodness. There we go. You can see from 95 over here to 99 over here. So like if I were to try to go in at 96 and get over here, then I'd get a couple percents. So I just decided it's worth letting it sit long enough to get more than 2%. And, you know, we're using money that's not really affected by the circulation. It is regularly sitting over 100. It really normally does a lot more than that. We're actually waiting for a double for our old positions. So even when it was really low over here, it was above what I'm asking for. This is brand new. This is my strategy for the bottom. Not having a massive amount to circulate because the journey to the bottom did give us a little bit of a hit on some of our holds. So, you know, the 100% accuracy for more than 2 months was a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. And so it's going to turn around at some point pretty soon. So if you see through here, this was spiking in 113-ish, 130 over here. Don't expect it to perform 130 all the time, but look at it in perspective. Okay, so now we're getting in perspective. You can see that it is regularly just hanging out over 120, 130 all the time. So yes, I do have a reasonable expectation that this should pop in a day or two, and that's kind of the idea. I never give up, but I will stretch out from, you know, daily to swing trades, which I really don't like, so not happy about that. You can see that taking a little bit of a risk with Engine, but I do believe that genuine interest is helping to launch this guy, and there's that long valley of despair. And then you can see that, you know, it had actually 2x'd through there. The first time around over here was a little bit lower than where we are right now. But it did peak higher than we are right now. And I'll just kind of show you from the recent activity. We're just trying to get in like right around, not even there. So in the grand scheme of this week long, you know, we're still just looking for, let's see, about, I don't know, 2 more cycles it should be done. I would guess that's the case. Need to keep an eye on it. Might need to come down a little bit from there. In fact, you know what? I don't know if I feel like waiting this out. 44, 54, 64. Yeah, it's about where it should be. 29.73. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with it right now. Not going to mess with it right now. So MFT, the same thing. Looks like it's starting to get within the range. of what we're looking for there. It's right back where we went in, and it's been fluctuating a lot through that time. So it actually kept dropping down some, and it made it up to 52. Something going from 50 to 51 is, getting in that almost 2% range. So it's kind of worth doing it if it really is doing it. But you would think that it gets easier the closer to binary that it is. But it is very, very difficult guessing the bottom on one of these guys, especially when it's this low. So that's just the way it is. XVG, really, really surprised about just how darn low things can go. It's kissed the absolute bottom of the barrel of how low it's been. So this is the second dip in its history of being this low. So if there's any concern of it getting up to 149, then the market is surely suffering much worse than anybody could imagine. Getting to 103 for fun when it has been up in the 600s and double of the 600s and more than double of the 600s. That should be a no-brainer. It should not take that long, even with the market being as awful as it is right now. So you can see once again where we are down here, where we are down there. Key, one of the real shockers, in my opinion, for the volume to be that low. Key has, obviously it has not come anywhere close to where it was when it first launched and the first two times after that. But you can see this drop is just unbelievable. So we should be able to see, even at the beginning of the month, it was in the 70s. It's really normal for it to fluctuate between 70 and 80. I believe that this is a very fair range for it. So even though this has a lot of a climb to do, this is so unnatural. Unless it becomes like one of the first ones that really do sell to the bottom, I don't think that we're there yet. I think that we're looking to bounce from a low point. So let's do the thing that we do when we look at our market analysis. Here is the huge jump that Bitcoin did from, just around 4,000 to 5,000. And all of this huge stuff that it's been doing is all just within this little range right here. That's amazing. Now, really, other than the New York Tether Bitfinex thing, the next thing that people reported should have been just how incredibly fast it bounced back. Yes, it dropped a few hundred, and it went back up the majority of the way, almost immediately. So, if that's the concern about what can do damage to Bitcoin, well, 51.95 to 53.30. Are we not happy that we've made it up from 3,800 to 5,300 with Bitcoin in overall value? I think we should be. So it's now after 11 on April 26th, Eastern Standard Time, 2019. And I don't see the rally having started in the next line of things. We were at 370 million. We have been dropping steadily in volume down to 189 million. That's a far cry from the 60, 70, 80 million that we saw before. But keep in mind, a few very small whale moves have jump-started this entire thing. And volume is, it can very often be the same money bouncing back and forth over and over and over again. So don't think that the billions of dollars of growth, measured by volume, necessarily means that we're getting anywhere close to a bull run. The amount of billions of dollars of loss in the alts for people that are not holding their positions or able to hold their positions is so substantial. It's almost irresponsible that others are not discussing what's actually happening. So I'm playing it to you straight, buddy. But I am actually enthusiastic. I am absolutely bullish. There's no question in my mind to report that something is, that the market is, ugly, and we have to survive through the lean, challenging times, does not at all mean that I am bearish on any of this stuff. I'm always, there's a part of me that'll always be cautiously optimistic because I do realize just how delicate this stuff is. I would not feel that way about it if I felt like more people understood the global economic side of things. And I don't mean to be critical in that way, but it just, I really want people to understand this stuff better. So how did you buy your first Bitcoin? Did you use money? Was the money real enough to buy you a Bitcoin? Then is it really all that fiat-y fake? Okay. So, I mean, fiat, the word actually, the significance of what we talk about when we're talking about fiat money is that is backed by the confidence given by governments, that it is issued as official representation of value. The argument against it is that it's imaginary and that whenever you need more, you can just print more. Versus gold, where a lot of its store of value is in the fact that it costs time, muscle, and resources in order to mine gold. Therefore, it has value. It's not because it's sparkly, because there's mica and fool's gold and crystals instead of diamonds. And we don't pay a whole ton for those things. But, since gold has been used as a standard for a very long time, a lot of that value is placed in the effort that it takes to get it. So we don't know exactly how much there is, and we don't know exactly where it is that we haven't found it yet. But it is not infinite, it is scarce. And, something that I find ironic about it is, don't you think that the most powerful assets in gold are probably governments too? So isn't there a little bit of a fiat-ish kind of side to things? A little bit. But there is a real benefit to having a scarce store of value like Bitcoin that is even more imaginary. And that's the thing that's funny to me, is that decentralized, the no middleman aspect of things, and that it is not, fiat. It's not fake money controlled by powerful people. Well, if you look at the team behind Bitcoin and the hard fork from them to Bitcoin Cash, and then the hard fork from Bitcoin Cash to Bitcoin Cash, I would say that it is imaginary and controlled by powerful people. It's just a whole different crowd, and the governments are moving in, buddy, and the regulation is moving in, and the corporations are moving in, and the banks are moving in. So, oh boy, you better make your move now. This is the time to get in. If the whole thing, there is a chance that the whole thing falls apart. The thing is that, man, it really should have already happened a couple of times now, because people are so short-term and instinctive about their frustrations when the bottom goes lower. That it's understandable that people that don't understand how this stuff works would get so emotionally flustered that they'd give up on it. There's a lot easier things to do with your life than to try to deal with the up and downs of the market. But then there's the overly optimistic HODL side of things, where hold. Well, you're going to see your value go up and down and up and down and up and down over again, and never taking advantage of it. So that doesn't really make sense to do either. So the best way to show loyalty is to work towards mass adoption, and the way to mass adoption is to trade on a legitimate exchange. Let everything else fall into place as we go along, and people find value in the projects for what they are. But I got to tell you right now, it's frighteningly low volume. You can see me scrolling to the top. I'm trying to get to the first 1,000 BTC, and that would be Tron. Okay, so literally all of this is less than 1,000 BTC 24-hour volume. That is shocking. Shocking, I tell you. So between BNB and Ethereum, that pretty much covers it. Matic is just less than a day old, and Bitcoin Cash had 2,200. Was kind of enjoying having a little bit of elbow room, a little bit of breathing room. Oh, I wonder why. Because Ain't no more SV over here. Ain't no more. No more. So, good stuff. EOS, I guess, is finding its fan base a little bit more again. Seems like every time I hear about EOS, it's about how it's not a good project. But it seems to be performing pretty decently compared to some of the others. I mean, it's all miserably bad. It's not 99 at all, but it is up from 85, so that's a lot of margin for some earning potential there. Basic attention span, basic attention token, needs to be in the 8,500 range. Yeah, it's kind of tough doing this as a trading video when so much of this is going to be analysis. It's becoming more and more clear to me. I was kind of thinking that this might be where the spikes start spiking. So I'm going to use E&J as an example to kind of come in here and test the potential for some more liquidity to kick in. So I'm going to look around the 29.11 range, do about a $30 bid. If you follow us, you know that I like to convert mentally everything into a Bitcoin equals. So 1.0 is 10,000, 0.1 is 1,000, 0.1 is 100, 0.01 is 10. So this is $32 in Bitcoin world. That's how I treat things. I don't care what Bitcoin is worth in a dollar until we are in our hundreds of millions and we're cashing out. So I'm hodling on the EGC process. I'm not hodling on doing nothing with my coins while I sit around. So we're going to test 29.11. So what you're going to be watching for is any fluctuations that are happening that aren't currently already happening. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can see it almost immediately, correct? So you can be like, well, how do you know that was you and how do you know it wasn't something else? When you've done it probably 150,000 times. So, you know, I'm sure you get faked out every once in a while, but let's wait and watch for a second. Wait for things to readjust a little bit. Is trying to decide whether it thinks it's going to go above that value again. Fuel just went up 1.21%. Okay, waiting for the right time. And a boom. Okay, so absolutely having an effect. Bitcoin is going down by around this amount. We just made it a little bit easier for it to come down some. Didn't necessarily want that to happen, but I'm testing to see where its strengths and weaknesses are. Okay, at this point is kind of moving in parallel, so let's see. I'm going to take a look at DNT that just hit. I'm going to come right back to that though. DNT at 277. Yeah, that's actually really good movement. That's very good. But my gosh, the volume is so low. See, the danger here is you put in, you know, $1,000, $2,000 to have a decent return over maybe 10, 15 minutes. And there's a really good chance it's going to bring it down. So I'll show you an example. It might go in the other direction. Depends. Hard to tell. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. And then can it go up to 276 if I decide not to go in there? Okay. So it's not too bad. Not too terribly bad. Hashtag DNT, can it spike back up truth.net.com. Boom. See what this one is doing. 1921 to 23. So it's standing still at 480 BTC 24-hour volume. So it is not trying to lock with the Bitcoin is in a little bit different of this down pattern. So part of this is E&J's down pattern, and this part right here and this tiny little part right here are locked to Bitcoin. So it's very tricky to see one pattern on top of the other. I wouldn't expect anybody to see it the same way that I do. So you'll just kind of have to take my word for the fact that it's tracing alongside Bitcoin a little bit and doing its own thing at the same time, which is tricky. Okay. And that's Poe going back down again. Poe's going to be hopping up and down quite a bit. I would expect it to have a little bit of trouble, Poe crossing back over the 100 line. Might be a couple of days even before it does it. But we're looking for, some of our small kind of side patterns while things are as risky and slow as they are. Just makes sense to me to try to take advantage of some things that are a no-brainer. If the whole industry blows up, then I would be wrong about the smaller ones. But if it doesn't, the likelihood that they don't come up from where they are historically in comparison to everything else, it would be astounding if they don't bounce. So 6, 7. Yeah, I'm not going to go that close to things. Want to see whether the volume is going to pick up there. It's really hovering around where we first went in, which is kind of annoying. Where's that 274? Yeah, I definitely should have taken that one. I was on the phone. I shouldn't have done that. What were I do, huh? So 1127. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some of this shift into the others. It's just kind of crazy. See, 600 BTC is still a pretty strong amount with things being as low as they are. It was able to do this, but I mean, oh my goodness, this dip, this horrible dip, right there. Crazy. This was about 230 to, yeah, I remember that part right there. It did this, it did this, it did this, in quite a succession. And it took a long time for it to get there. You can see in comparison, we're looking at about 365 there. Going back over to here. So ONT is up again. That's good. It's kind of an important one to get up there, ontology. We really, yeah, this is where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it made it that close to our positions. And just, it lost us that, So it's actually 23,000 represented by 2,300 there. But they've got the trading margins limited, which I think is a very smart move. So Storm has made it up about 3. It's not terrible. Lind, about the same shape. So this new little lip that is just barely following what Bitcoin is doing may possibly be the first sign of these things getting back in the game here. There's just so much for them to have to do in order to do so. Yep, I just told them about Lind. Do you want to tell me? I don't know if you can hear in the background. I've got my signaler set to let me know the plus and minus of certain things. It's very helpful, but I never use it for the actual cycle that it's in. It's like if it tells me that something is going up and it's going and going and going, I'm usually going to wait for it to come down and then go in on the next one. I want to know whether that forward movement is actually happening or not. So Steem, the Steem community is really, if there's anything out of any of this stuff that I find really encouraging from, the ground level, real people doing real things kind of stuff, it would be the Steem community. And I don't completely understand the phenomenon yet, but there's just this interest and energy about it that I just think is a really cool thing. You can tell hype, and people just saying, a lot of positive things because they want their coin to sell. But Steem actually pays in Steem for the content that people create on Steem's network. And, the question that I would see with that is, like, how long do you visualize the value that you're earning in Steem before you say, okay, I'm doing this because I need to make a living, and I think that this is going to help me to make a living. So, what can you pay with Steem if you're not leaving outside of the ecosystem of crypto stuff? Wow, so that was pretty intense. Lind and Poe and one other all kind of crashed at the same time. That was interesting. Okay, so Lind's just popping up and down. I'm gonna try 7. Bitcoin down to 184 million, holding at 5,300. Poe coming back up again. Okay, that's what we want to see happen. Let's see if it can continue up there or not. Is really this part right? Well, let's see. How far? Not really this, in my opinion. This part right here is mirroring Bitcoin. I'll go ahead and test that. I'm willing to test that. Oh, somebody else is testing that there too. You know what? There's some people that have been watching my training. I can see a couple of little things that it's neat how, you know, nobody really knows who's behind the trades doing what and stuff, but you can kind of see little patterns and you start to recognize the people that are attached to them. It is really interesting. So I personally don't really care to see Raven ever get below the 1,000 mark again. It's disturbing to me when that happens. It just, you know, yes, it is one of the very few that has found a higher value than its initial launch on Binance. And that's a big deal. Okay, Ethereum Classic is kicking in. That's kind of nice. Let's see what's happening over here again. All right, you know that you can do this, right? It's your time to do this thing. Mr. Engine, you go up. That's what you're born to do. Okay. That was a pretty big hike that just happened there with Poly. It's kind of the lesser of the bird coins. We got Raven and Red Pulse Phoenix. Both of those seem to perform pretty nicely. 21, 42, 29, 42, 44. Bitcoin's now at $183 million, 24-hour volume, measured in Tether. So it's kind of causing things connected to it to sit a little flat there. Let's give it a chance to do its own thing there a little bit. I'm curious how these guys are all performing this. Obviously, it's not bounce back time yet. And that makes things a little bit slow, and it means that probably just whenever I end the broadcast is when things will just go sky high. It'll be like, okay, we ready now. We go, we do. Yeah. Oh, REQ, I can't believe that it is that low. That's unbelievable, man. It's crazy. Look at that. Made it all the way down to 385. And we're just looking for it to be at the top, somewhere around there. So thank you for this, because that's not the only time we've seen that. But this most recent one, it doesn't look as bad as it is because the shape of it is like, but you got to understand this was already down from here. So I mean, it's really, this whole chunk right here is extremely significant. And it was doing so well to start this recovery, and then other things happened. And that's how it works. ONT is still on its way up. Good for you. Good for you. Muy bien. And ENJ is on its way up. So we may decide to take a little bit less on that one. Just kind of keep things a little bit safe. Don't worry about the things of the past. Focus on the things of the future. Was it 44 to 59? Yeah, 29.44. So hold on for just 1 second here. Okay, so now I'm going to switch this over here. So we were looking at 29.44. So there's our fees right there, would be covered by 6 positions. So that would be 44 to 49. So if I wanted to make 0.2 by doing 0.4, it would be 55. If I wanted to make 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. So 64 is our, that's where the line is. 64 is where the line is for our normal 0.5%. If I was going to go for that. So I was going for slightly more. I don't want to run too close of a risk versus reward kind of thing. In a down market, which is almost everything that people have experienced since the real trading began in this whole sector, it's pretty much been down that entire time. So usually, the second of that trend is smaller than the previous one. Now this has met resistance in the 70 range several times. And it's met support, 29.16. Some other people are thinking about the 64 range there too. Okay. In a stronger market, I've kind of learned to force myself to wait out this part, this kind of teeter-totter that happens for about an hour. Because when it resolves itself, that's when it pops afterwards. The thing is that things are so slow and volume is so low in comparison to where it should be. And often in these cases, it's dropping while Bitcoin is dropping in the amount of liquidity taking place. There's such a chance that it doesn't continue up and it flatlines. So it's a tough decision whether to decide to take less and know that if it does improve, that it's going to go flying by your position and keep earning and earning and earning. The real value in this is just making sure that you don't get stuck in positions. That really is kind of the bottom line. So it's not really about second guessing myself as it is that I know exactly what the balance of the decisions are, and I'm not trying to take unnecessary risks. So let's see what happens there. Okay. About 29.65. Okay, we're in there now. $62 is good. All right, go ahead and digest that. Do something good with it. All right, come on now. All right. Now I can tell from looking at the 5-minute that it is going to do another up, probably make it into the 80s and then cross over 3,000 and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're looking for the sure thing. Go ahead and have this do what we need it to do, and it could go a lot of different rounds before it actually gets there. So why do you guys want to bunch up around the 260 range? This is the time to actually let it go higher. Why you do this? So Bitcoin is finding its support right along the 5,300 line, and its spikes above 5,310 are getting met with resistance. They're not staying there very long. So it's kind of causing the same thing to happen around the 262, 263 range. I like seeing that there's this much activity is actually picking up in volume a tiny bit. It went from 477.71 BTC 24-hour volume to 478. So I'm happy about that. Well, not happy about that. That was silly. Why would you want to do that? ONT is a little bit down. So we're going to do the teeter-totter thing, are we? Is that the kind of market you is? Why yes. Why, yes, I am. Okay. Failure non-normal? Come up with new messages for things. It's kind of funny. It's funny, every time they update the client and browser, they start eventually having the same weird little glitch things that they do wrong. There it goes. So pose up a little bit more, that's good. MFT is sitting a little flat. It'll find its way there. Pivx. Nice. So it's only got 3,600 to go, and we will clear one of them. We have this really old positions there. Let's see. Ethereum under 3, that's interesting. Waves really should be in the 7,300 range, so it really has lost about 50%. Not too far from it. About 43%. See, there's that 5,000 range. That's just, a week ago. That doesn't count, but that would have been really cool to grab a part of. In fact, I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Interesting. Uno momento, por favor. Okay. Yeah, using that as a visual for one of our strategies that we will share with our paid group, because they are special. You should be special to come join our group. Do so. I know I sound a little bit low energy right now. It's just there's so few things that one can motivate larger moves with right now. So, oh my goodness, BCPT is heading out again. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We are looking at a strong 1300, and so right there is where we were trying to get in and be done. It's no fun trying to wait on another one. Okay. There's that right there. Such a small thing for the normal engine to do, so it's kind of painful seeing it struggle. Oh, your struggle. Let's see. You can see it's now sitting below the real volume, and it's on the low side of the stock RSI, and this doesn't really help anything. But it's partially in its own pattern right now, except for the stock RSI is very much linked to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, where we're leveled out here, this is actually a negative for Bitcoin, and the only reason they're really different is because there's just not enough value here to show that many smaller increments, but it is doing a little bit of its own pattern on top of what Bitcoin is doing, so it's kind of a good thing. 28, 29. You can actually see over a long period of time, this is over a couple of days, the last time it did exactly where we are right now, it went up a good 7-8% there. And this time, 2,900. I mean, if it did anything similar, it would be, let's see, I guess probably about 3% within there. If it's following exactly that same pattern. No guarantees that it does. All right, we get back to those 60s. I'm going to close this out and get our little bit of profit and be done with it. It's worth having it done, no matter what it does afterwards. Just I'd like that to return to me. It's not a large amount, but I don't want to leave a trail of anything getting stuck for extended periods of time. All right, so we have broken below 5,300. That is one of those. Well, last time it recovered pretty quickly. I think this one is in Bitcoin. It's kind of a solid downward line. It's not as good a sign for Bitcoin as other things in the past have been. Kind of show you what I'm talking about. With this, it fell off gradually, thinned out, tried to recover a little bit, couldn't get beyond the volume, dipped, and then took a real solid dive down to 52.87. But it was worth coming back up from 89 to 95. Bottomed out again, met resistance there, and then this is almost as quick a recovery. Let's see, that's 53.01, 53. Yeah, so I mean, it came exactly back up to it. This took a total of 13 minutes, and this took a total of about 17, 18 minutes. So it made it all the way back to that. It did a complete reverse. Then it tried to go beyond that, and it just didn't have what it took. So are we going to break that resistance, I mean, that support line again, or is it going to bounce off exactly the same place? Okay, it's going lower. Going lower, folks. So yeah, it can't keep up with it. So now our volume has dropped to 180 million. That's another $3 million loss in volume over 24 hours. The question here is whether this is going to double and triple the loss because of buying back in. So we're going to find out very quickly. So is this helping or hurting over here? It hasn't had the effect yet. Don't do the drop. Go ahead and do a pop. Go ahead and do a pop. That's what you want to do. That's what you should do. The volume is coming to meet it there. Almost looks like 29.54-ish is where everything is going to meet towards a median. There's a chance it could break through this and just go ahead and pop again. That would be really cool. Oh, no, you're listening to Bitcoin. Okay, so we're going to do it the hard way. Yeah, I'm not going to chase this around all night. Bitcoin playing its crazy antics, wreaking havoc upon the alt world. I'm not going to play your silly reindeer games. Let's see. Zen is up. Okay, interesting. Theta's holding in there just a little bit though. ONT is up, but it's starting to get hit by Bitcoin now. So we'll see what that does to it. Yeah, it's breaking the bottom of the Bollinger there at the 1 minute, so it's going to readjust and keep going down. Okie dokie. If that's what you feel like you gotta do. DNT is actually pretty impressive. It's starting to get hit by the double low on Bitcoin as well. They're a little bit shallow. Yes, I guess the one good part of the lower volume there. Man, just really wanted that to go ahead and get done, but now it's going to have to do the whole thing over again. That's kind of the story of this thing in the market. Yeah, it's getting very, very, very tough to get beyond that without taking less value out of things. We do not give up. We find other strategies that adjust and work to this. I hate swing trading when I work so much better at a very, very, very fast pace. But we've already gotten some of our profits out of the swing trading stuff, so got to do a little bit of that to survive. Got to do what you got to do. So what's your story, IOST? 590 BTC 24-hour volume. Lots of Morse code. I mean, this is at least from a market perspective, it's a valuable coin. I don't want it to see it get buried underneath other stuff. I believe in this range. What is this, like 400 or 500 range there? I think 362. Yeah, that's our highest one. So I mean, we're looking at right about there. Right about there. So less than a year that it has been valued at that, and it went down over the weeks. So, okay, so people are buying it at 204. That's good. That's good. So it dipped into the 2930s and is headed back up from there. In almost any other example of this kind of market, things that hold this long at a low pop pretty quickly and pop pretty high. And I mean, when I say high, I mean just 1 or 2%, at least, and that is really nothing in the grander scheme. But yeah, I really wish that hadn't been. So often, yeah, I mean, it just, if Bitcoin can decide what it's going to do, we should probably just look at that for a little bit. Okay, you challenge, sir. It's starting to look like it's hanging on a cliff, so people are going to get scared and sell off. And then people are going to say, hey, enough of that, and buy in. 5280. So we've seen 5380 and 5280. Even with that sell-off, it's still dropping in volume. I'm actually a little bit surprised by that. So this is what we're seeing in the minute by minute. Let's see. So there's our ENJ and there's Bitcoin. Just going to watch it for a minute, see what it does. So this is something I've reported several different times. This is before whatever market it is that it opens, there's like a pre-run. I've noticed that it's always just like 3 minutes before the hour. So I think it's very interesting. Right at 23:57, so Eastern Standard Time, right at 11:57 is where the sell-off happened on Bitcoin. And I don't see the typical automatic buy-in. So we had that double bounce thing that happened right here, just boom, boom. And I've noticed that just like a solid curve where there's a little bit of profit here towards the beginning, there's like a 0.5%, 7%, 0.7%. Not beginning. It comes to the MACD, and as MACD is about to go up with the stock RSI, you get this little profit right here. In this really, really, really low market, every single time it reaches that place, you have this and then a second down. And it's kind of uncertain from that point forward as to what it's going to do. Yeah, this is just a killer, man. So MFT, I mean, it's really insignificant going from 50 to 51. If it makes it to 52, then that's a significant sign. I mean, this is just as, weak an example as a person can try to find examples to show interesting things. Poe made it from 92 to 94 finally. That's good. So I'm really surprised that some of this stuff isn't popping a little bit quicker, but that's kind of what I'm expecting to do, is to be surprised. The struggle from just like wanting so badly to see things just kind of in defiance just go gangbusters. Some of those really exciting in March to see some of those big spikes first happen for the first time in a really long time, about a 5-month spread. And I mean, we make so much headway in the small ranges in between this stuff. I mean, every single day it seems like we find a way to nudge something forward when people are running and they're not saying much about it. But they're calling off pump group signal stuff, and they have angry mobs saying, where's the value? Fun went up, Poe went down. So, yeah. Yep. If I had to guess, 203 to 205 is going to happen, but it's not worth the risk right now, because I mean, you make a smaller move, just to warrant not taking an unwanted risk, and it's not worth following a small move around for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. MCO took a little bit of a bump upwards, so that's good. I'm always happy when the midnight changeover is when like a huge spike thing happens. It's always exciting when they're the ones. I don't know what makes that different. Yeah, so it's just not good. Not a good time for the market. There's always room to learn something in these times. D&D is still actually performing pretty well there. But I mean, it's got 20 BTC volume. Poe's getting kicked around again. Bitcoin's just not coming back up. It's going to fluctuate at some point in time. If it takes a long time, it's just not going to be a lot of value to that. So this is what MCO just did. That was that tiny little move right there. Myth, yeah. I don't think we're holding anything on that. So it's, it's not about that. It's just I'm looking at what these projects should be doing by now. Quantum has got one of those massive dips that happened too. You'll see this translates over into these guys too. So Theta was showing a little bit of promise. ONT, IOTA, Tron, IOST. How much do you OST? Yep, you can see it's very, very similar. So it's over here, and it's over here. And as long as it's establishing those lower trends, it's going to give signals to people that it's headed more towards here again. Oh, we don't really want it to do that, though. You can see from here to here, at that average, they came together around 53.20. I was really hoping it could hold over 5,300, but since it's not right now, yeah, I don't know if we're seeing... it's all in the pump. You can look at so much in the signals, but somebody's already predetermined how much they're going to sell off for a short and how much they're going to buy back in for profit. So as long as it's bouncing in that 52, it really could break all the way down to 5,100 and then break through the 5,000 barrier if it wants to, needs to. It's very possible. I don't see a lot propping it up right now, but it just, these things are absolutely on a cycle. You can see this time that it did a drop, it came back up to here. This time that it did the drop, it took longer to do that, and it came back up, but then it dropped again. So there's a lot to be said for the analysis side of things there. IOTX still has a little bit of volume, but it's not moving. IOST still has some volume, and it's consolidating around that 200 range. BCPT has just fallen from the sky. I am a little bit surprised that it's gone as hard as it has. 1400 was okay over here and over here. So, that was March and April, but it has a long spell of getting pounded down by the Bitcoin cash hard fork there. So there's a lot of reasons to be enthusiastic on this side. You're talking about an entire other decimal when it gets up there. So it's just, you want to think that we've gotten beyond certain hurdles going into bull run. People are just not, it's not ready for the bull run, guys. It just isn't. But I am bullish. I am absolutely bullish. I'm a little low on energy, and these long, smaller trades are, they can zap you. They can zap you energy. But I think it's good to keep an eye on it. I hate setting something up for 77 and then it makes it to 74, and then 30 days later it comes back around and you're happy to take 60. So it's always a possibility. I am happy to see over 1300 for ADA, even though it needs to be in the 2000 and higher range. You can see it certainly is worth more than what's going on there. And that's largely why that whole thing is right there. And it's also, a big coin, so it represents a lot to the industry on the whole. So Bitcoin 5270 dropping to 177 million. So we've seen it drop more than $10 million in volume as we've been doing this on the Binance Exchange, measured in Tether. Measured in Tether. Yep. Okay, engine. Be the little engine that could coin. Bitcoin's going down. It's selling off. It's dragging it down again. It was like, I'm going to be independent and do my own. Oh, no, never mind. Bitcoin's doing his thing again. I apparently am the Pinocchio of altcoins. So, yeah, this is about to be a hard fall. And here it comes. Okay, Poe popped again, so that's good. I really don't see this getting all the way back up there, but that would be one of those cool things to happen if it was able to do that. So Matic is getting affected by this now a pretty good bit too. It was holding in the 1 to 7, 108 range. But today is done 91 to 199. That's crazy. OST having a bounce again. Okay, that's pretty decent. 25 BTC. My goodness. Ugh. So crazy. Trash Prop! How you doing, man? Good to see you. It's kind of going into a BTC comatose state. So we're going to try this all over again. We've almost come back around to right where we started. Yes, oh, yes, it is good. Oi. Oi. Oye, oye, the Honorable ENJ working its process again. So in the 40s, the 60s, and the 70s. You look at it in the opposite order, it's actually good news. Because there'll be here, there'll be here, there'll be here. That's good. It's good, it's good. Okay, so that's a little bit of movement in there, that's good. Let's see. Okay, interesting. Wow, Phoenix at 228. That's just, wow. Kind of goes from the all-powerful Red Pulse Phoenix surging for the top to Big Bird. It's got so much potential in that pre-hard fork range. Over here, just about double around there. Not saying that I think it should go shooting for 1,000. It'd be nice. But 228, wow. Wow, that's just, wow. I have been saying things with mute on. The world will never know. I'll let this run for a little bit, see what it does. Alright, Engine Coin, what is your problem? What is this for you to be doing that you are for not to be doing? Yes? No? Wow, Matic is actually picking up some in volume to hold above 100. That's very interesting. So, I'm going to have to wind this down soon. I always like to start, I always like to end on a high note. So, I definitely, I can't always push a position to happen within the exact time that I want it to. But I also don't want this to drop back down to 2,900. I really think that the new normal for Engine Coin is more in the 3,500 range. So, it's just that this horrible legacy before that is always a potential. So I don't like to stay in this stuff a long time. And it's bouncing pretty close to the bottom there. 2965 just should be so doable. And it's just getting dragged down by the monster that is the Bitcoin. It cannot find its value above where it is. It's actually really not that bad. It's just dropping in volume. So I think 3 a.m. is going to be interesting. 5 or 6 a.m. One of those two is going to be interesting. 9 a.m. is going to be interesting. Not sure which one of those is going to be, but one of those is going to be a catalyst for wherever that bounce is. This stuff never hovers around in this range for as long as it has been. So there's nowhere for it to go but up or down, as the case may be. 28, 43, 45, 6, 47. I like testing these little patches where things are weak to see what the response is. Because a lot of things can be hidden in the 24-hour volume. I'd love to see like an actual tracker for volume, and not just this, but like actually running with the chart, having like a live, just bought in, bought out. Technically that is what the trade history is, but it's slightly different data, so you don't really get the same effect of what I'm looking for. It would be really interesting because you could kind of learn hour by hour the actual impact of the current positions on the volume and the way that people respond to them. Most people wouldn't see that information from it that way, but that's what I would be able to see from it because I'm weird. So 57. Very good. Yes. 268. Okay, interesting. Bitcoin is hitting 5277. All right, well, Engine Coin has lost about 8% of its volume just in this range here. And I've been curious to see whether it's going to readjust itself. I'm testing some of these lower positions, and kind of like the other stuff in the market right now, it's not bouncing back right now. So I always hate to leave a cliffhanger, because I know these things are going to clear as long as there's a Bitcoin and an alt market. These are about as sure a thing in a position as they can be. So in cash is just done be wore out at the 40 something. BTG has had a lot of interesting up and down. XVG still stuck at 145. I said 140 something. The 34 is what I meant to say. My goodness, yeah, this is a tired trader, boy. So 97 to 101. We were at 99. It's coming back down. Bitcoin's really doing a number on stuff. So not a whole lot to be said for that, except to just wait out the wait out. Nothing is repositioning. ONT is actually the only one that I see right now that is performing pretty well. I don't typically go in when it's that high after it's been as low as it has been. Kind of watch the different patterns for different coins to know when it's tends to have a strength in the rebound, and when it tends not to. So Ion is another one of those where it's very easy to get stuck when it looks like the going's good. Actually, some of my favorite moves are the ones that seem to contradict all logic, when you actually go in when it's going up, but you're going up with an uptrend, and you know exactly what it's supposed to do, and only because you really recognize the character of that coin does it work the way you think it should. So ironically, these beautiful waves happening with waves. Oh yes. So 41.50. Yeah, it's got to be really tall though. That's the problem, is not covering a full 0.5% with those waves. Now you look at the longer version. If you're used to like 3-day trades, 4-day trades, then waves makes sense even down there. But oh my gosh, I just can't believe I can't get over things that are really strong projects. They're just that susceptible to this low a drop in volume. It just tells you how much we have a distance to go with mass adoption. We are not there yet. We are not anywhere close. And you know what? There's been enough people that are into Bitcoin all this time to get out there and get busy and start letting the world know about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's time, brother. The time is now, and now is the time. 19 Bitcoin. BTC 24-hour volume. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I wonder where Matic is going to go in the future. Very interesting. Is it automatic? A coin, it's Matic. When I trade you. DGD continuing to go up. Crazy. So 62, 67, 277. Oh, okay. Interesting. Drop in the bucket, huh? Yeah, man, if you had 100 Bitcoin, I could tell you about 30 of the low positions that you need to put and just go for the long term. For sure. So with our strategy, we start to implement still not a hold, but 2-3 day positions, week-long positions. Unfortunately, we keep them small because we need to spread them out. You don't really know where they're going to perform better than other places. Oh, just get with it, would you, engine? And I would just generally say be careful. These spikes are happening with coins that don't usually do them. So, I mean, an underperforming coin in a really dangerous, really risky range. Just not what I would do. But, it's tricky because the coins that should be performing better right now, they just don't have the volume to do it. And this is the perfect example. Now is where it should start spiking. And Bitcoin is doing its part. You can start to see it a little bit in there. 29.26. Oh, I don't want to affect it too much. It really should be able to move with Bitcoin slight up. It's in the 5280s now. And it's just, yeah, it's losing traction. Don't like to see that happen. Okay, well, you know what? It's going to happen once we end the video. So actually, it's maybe starting to respond to Bitcoin there a little bit. Yeah. $52.86 on Bitcoin, $173 million, 24-hour volume measured in Tether on the Binance Exchange. Okay, so it's breaking up a little bit. All right, well, we'll keep you updated with all this stuff. So bottom line here, our strategy for things being as low and slow as they are is to still find ways to find value on the bottom. There is always risk for it to go lower. It's just historically, this is it. This is the lowest that it has been. It's the worst drop that has happened, unfortunately. So in cash, the lowest it's been is 32 ever. Everything under 50 is really low. So you can see at the Bitcoin crash cash hard fork over here, it was worth more than double where we are now, and that really should be the value that everything is working back up towards. If Bitcoin is able to get to 6,000, technically these things should be able to get to 88. The volume has left the market, a large amount of it has, so that's a challenge. MFT falling from the 51 to 50 now. Fun popped up, ONT popped up. So ONT is a good one to trade, apparently. Hold on just a second. So you can see here with XVG, I mean, 160 is really low for it, so we're not asking a lot to get into this range. And it's been there numerous times very recently. Yeah. Fun? Question mark? So like right around there, as opposed to 115 you see over there. TNB, looking for 101. So I mean, the point of this is that we're actually getting 2 or 3% out of some of these for waiting for a few days. So it should have the cumulative effect of doing more positions quicker. Very, very, very rare times that things are going to be this low. If the things that we hope the market does tend to be that thing. So if they don't, then we deal with it another way. But so there's 102. So we're just looking for 98 right around there, when it should be at a minimum 123. So those are our lower stance positions. Then this other stuff has just really gotten beaten down. Never, ever, ever would anticipate a lot of these having to hit another low as it is. So it's a little bit of a bummer. But we're handling it the right way. We're doing the right thing. And in the meantime, we are making trades and successing. So you can take a look at just a brief thing. This is just since the 18th. So, this is the trend right here where it's like, oh goodness. Well, I mean, we bought and sold very fine there. But the IOSTs, yeah, we sold those too. That's pretty good. It's the higher up stuff. It's got to get its volume back. Got to get the value out of the volume. Got to get the volume. Value. Okay. So looks like ENJ is showing some promise. It's kind of actually gotten in a backward loop. This is Bitcoin going down right here. So we could watch this for, 13 hours and it'll still be doing the same thing, or it'll just pop. So we will give you an update, but that's our strategy, is to, kind of take advantage of the bottom and assume, historically it's just very rare for things to get as low as they have been. So assume that everything everything is higher than where it is currently. So might as well go for 2%, 3%, a couple of fairly safe positions historically speaking, and continue to reassess. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe, ring the bell, comment, get in touch with us, join our group. If you want to speak directly, Gordon at archangelalts.com. Mass adoption equals liquidity. Liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange. We choose Binance. You should too. Come join us. And for now, Archangel Alts out.